Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Surbhi Sharma. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 3rd of April. 5 injured in ceasefire violation by Pakistan along border in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Protests erupt over killing of activist by police in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. An Afghan government will invite Taliban to attend peace jirga, says envoy outside. And now for all the details. 5 more civilians were injured on Wednesday in ceasefire violation by Pakistani troops along the border in India's Jammu and Kashmir province. The ceasefire violations that began on Monday have affected normal life for those living along the line of control. 5 more civilians were injured in the ongoing cross-border shelling in India's Jammu and Kashmir province on Wednesday. The ceasefire violations that began on Monday have affected normal life for those living along the line of control or LOC. The continued shelling in the Poonch region has so far resulted in the death of a 5-year-old and border security force personnel and injured more than 15 civilians.
5 हुए थे जख्मी वहाँ पे और उनमें 2 जो थे वो वहीं पे माइनर इंजरी थी, उनको वहीं पे फर्स्ट एड मिल गया और वो वहाँ पे बिल्कुल ठीक ठाक हैं और हमारे पास 3 पहुँचे हैं जिनमें 2 लड़कियाँ हैं और एक जो बच्चा था 12-13 साल का, इनको मामूली सी इंजरी थी, थोड़ा फर्स्ट एड वगैरह देके हम लोगों ने इनको स्टेबल कर दिया। और
5:30 बजे हम घर के नज़दीक में थे, पाकिस्तान से बम आया तो मेरी बच्ची को इंजरी हो गई, सर में लगी है चोट।
The troops of arch rivals India and Pakistan intermittently exchanged fire across the border despite an agreement in 2003 that a ceasefire should be observed along the working boundary. Both New Delhi and Islamabad blame each other for resorting to unprovoked firings. Moving on, protests erupted in Muzaffarabad city of Pakistan-administered Kashmir on Wednesday over the death of activist Raja Waqar Turk, who succumbed to his injuries after being allegedly tortured and thrown from a building by police personnel.
Protests erupted in Muzaffarabad city of Pakistan-administered Kashmir on Wednesday over the death of activist Raja Waqar Turk, who succumbed to his injuries after being allegedly beaten and thrown from a building by police personnel. Activist Raja Waqar Turk, who died on Tuesday night, had been on a life support machine since March 28 after falling from a building under highly suspicious conditions. He was allegedly followed and tortured by police before the fall and police threw him down, eyewitnesses have said. The protesters raised slogans against the police and administration and demanded action against those responsible. This is not the first time that such incidents have emerged from Pakistan-administered Kashmir, a region under illegal Pakistani occupation. Activists and locals have long blamed that security forces operate with impunity in the region and they are meted out brutally for voicing their concerns and for even demanding their basic rights.
In news from Afghanistan, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani's special envoy Umar Daudzai on Tuesday said the government will officially invite the Taliban to attend the Grand Consultative Jirga on peace. Around 2,500 delegates from across the country are expected to attend the traditional assembly, which is scheduled for April 29th.
Afghan government will officially invite the Taliban to attend the Grand Consultative Jirga on peace, which is scheduled for April 29. Umar Daudzai, President Ghani's special envoy and head of the High Peace Council Secretariat, said on Tuesday. Around 2,500 delegates from across the country are expected to attend the assembly where they will determine the path towards peace. Daudzai said the Jirga will become a joint and national gathering if the Taliban attends it.
ما از طالبان ان شاء الله رسما دعوت میکنیم که اونا اشتراک کنن. اگه اونا اشتراک کنن خب بیخی موضوع مشترک و ملی شد.
This comes as the US Special Envoy Zalmay Khalilzad visited Kandahar province on Tuesday, where he held meetings with local officials and tribal elders on Afghan peace. Khalilzad earlier on Monday also held a number of meetings with Afghan officials and members of the civil society to discuss the urgency of making progress in intra-Afghan talks. The Afghan government expects the US and the Taliban to hold their next round of talks in Doha after the consultative jirga in Kabul.
More news from Afghanistan. Artists in Afghanistan's Herat province are portraying the life of Afghans living in rural areas and their untold stories in an ongoing art exhibition. The 5-day event is showcasing almost 100 artworks by 13 artists.
An exhibition of artworks created by university students in Afghanistan's Herat city is portraying the life of Afghans living in rural areas and their untold stories. The ongoing 5-day exhibition is showcasing almost 100 artworks by 13 artists from the Fine Arts faculty of the Herat University. The artworks include portraits of young and elderly Afghans with smiles on their faces despite the hardship they face in their lives.
بس است مردم افغانستان ما خسته شدن از خشونت‌ها از جنگ از جداست زیادتر چیزا هست که پیام صلح دارن که برای بینندگان ما عرضه می‌کنیم.
بحث جالب برای ما در همین نمایشگاه هم بحث کیفیتیه. رشد کیفی که کرده آثار این نمایشگاه وقت ما با آثار حتی نمایشگاه 3 سال قبل ما وقت مقایسه می‌کنیم.
Some paintings in the exhibition also portray the hope of Afghans for peace, as it is currently the much debated topic in the country.
In news from Nepal, with no roof on their heads and no food stock, the survivors of the recent thunderstorm in Nepal are struggling to get back on their feet. The severe thunderstorm, which hit southern Nepal on March 31st, killed more than 30 people, injured hundreds and destroyed nearly 400 houses.
Survivors of a recent thunderstorm in southern Nepal are struggling to get back on their feet without sufficient food or a roof over their head. The severe thunderstorm which hit southern Nepal on March 31st killed more than 30 people, injured hundreds and destroyed nearly 400 houses. With no roof on their heads and their food stock destroyed, the people living in the impoverished settlements were the worst to suffer.
घर में केहू ना रहे, गार्जियन कोई ना रहे। एने कुछ नहीं आता बनेगा नहीं पता। सामान दिया गल पेटी बर्तन भरिया घर में कैसा खाना पीना कुछो नहीं के, कमनी के कोनो चीज नहीं के देत केहू, एने केहू पूछा ही नहीं के आवत। कुछ खाना पीना नहीं मिला, सब ने मेरे ने बड़ा सा चावल के बोरा सब तिरपाल नहीं देत लोग, लीक लबले के लिए तलो और दे तलो।
Meanwhile, former Prime Minister of Nepal Madhav Kumar Nepal visited a hospital and met the injured survivors of the storm on Wednesday. Volunteers also took up to distributing snacks and drinks outside the hospitals. Nepal is now in the lead up to the monsoon season, and thunderstorms are common at this time of the year, but they are rarely intense enough to cause death and destruction.
Indian Army on Monday opened a 260 feet long pedestrian suspension bridge on Indus River for the locals of Leh region in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province. It took just 40 days for the Indian Army to construct the bridge.
A 260-foot-long pedestrian suspension bridge on Indus River was opened for public in Leh district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Monday. The bridge constructed by the Indian Army has been named Maitri or friendship to signify the friendly relations between the locals and the security forces. The bridge was inaugurated by Indian Army war veterans who fought wars with Pakistan in 1965 and 1971 and with China in 1962.
फायर एंड फ्यूरी कोर की तरफ से 260 फीट का ये फौज द्वारा बनाया गया पहला और इकलौता पदयात्रियों के लिए केबल सस्पेंशन ब्रिज देश को समर्पित होने जा रहा है।
हमको ये रिवर क्रॉस करने के लिए अगर फुट ब्रिज नहीं बनाया होता तो वहाँ उस पर जितना भी गाँव वाले हैं उनको बहुत दिक्कत होता है, क्योंकि वो 15-20 किलोमीटर घूम के फिर ले आना पड़ता है। तो आर्मी वालों से बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ।
The bridge, which will connect 3 villages of Stoke, Chukot and Choglamsa in Leh, has been built by the army in just 40 days. It has been built with 500 tons of construction material taken to the location from the foothills of Himalayas.
A day-long event, Imphal Campaign Talks, was organized on Tuesday in India's northeastern Imphal city to commemorate the 75th anniversary of Battle of Imphal, fought in the region in 1944. Delegates from across the globe participated in the event and shared their experiences with the audience.
A day-long event was organized on Tuesday in Imphal city of India's northeastern Manipur province to commemorate the 75th anniversary of Battle of Imphal, fought in the region in the year 1944. The 5th edition of the Imphal Campaign Talks was organized by the Second World War Imphal Campaign Foundation to create awareness among the people about the battle. During the campaign, delegates from Japan and United Kingdom, including historians and war veterans, shared their viewpoints on the topic Peace and Reconciliation, Meeting of the Minds, Designing the Way Forward.
It's a very good opportunity to introduce experience that we had, reconciliation, but also individual experience with the father's experience, or veterans who have very, very bad experience as well. But before we do that, we would like to...
Second World War Imphal Campaign Foundation has also set up a museum in Imphal city to mirror that period through relics, artifacts, arms and ammunition, and a warplane engine of World War II. The restored World War II artifacts include barrels of rare Arisaka guns, artillery shells, war manuals, Japanese grenades and oxygen cylinders used by aircraft pilots.
Visitors from across the country and abroad have been flocking to Asia's largest tulip garden in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province to witness multi-hued flowers in their full glory. A total of 51 varieties of tulips have been displayed for the visitors this year. Visitors from across the country and abroad have started flocking to Asia's largest tulip garden situated in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province to witness multi-hued flowers in their full glory. A total of 51 varieties of tulips have been displayed in Indira Gandhi Memorial Tulip Garden, located in the foothills of Zabarwan Hills, offering a breathtaking view of the natural beauty of the Kashmir Valley. Floodlights have been also installed in the garden this year to let visitors experience the beauty of the garden even after sunset.
बहुत ही अच्छा लगा। मैं तो फूलों की दीवानी हूँ, तो उस हिसाब से तो मुझे अच्छा ही लगा। बाकी लोगों को भी आके देखना चाहिए।
Tulips are usually in full bloom in and around Srinagar city during this time of the year, lending an ethereal atmosphere to the valley, which is also dubbed by many as paradise on earth. The average lifespan of a tulip flower is 3 to 4 weeks and remain in full bloom till April end. Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. 5 injured in ceasefire violation by Pakistan along border in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Protests erupt over killing of activist by police in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. An Afghan government will invite Taliban to attend peace jirga, says envoy Daudzai. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.